Hey guys, welcome back. So for today's session, we are going to look on what strings are in Python, and we are going to check on few inbuilt functions or the built-in functions that Python have that's around string and few on integers as well, the numbers. So let's get started with string. We'll first create a new Python file. We'll name it as strings. We'll name it as strings.py. Okay. Now what strings are? We know that strings is another data type in Python. So string, what is string? String is data type, is a data type in Python, and it is enclosed within single quotes or double quotes. All right. Strings are immutable, right? Meaning strings are immutable, meaning once they are created, they can't be modified directly. Instead, any operation on strings returns a new string. All right. So it's not always the same object. All right. So let's start with a few. Let's start with some string methods. The first one that we are going to see is ORD. ORD is a method that returns the Unicode or the ASCII value of a particular alphabet, right? So if you want, say we have a character A and we want to check what is the ASCII value of it. So we'll say value is equals to ORD of A. Let's keep capital A. And then we have to print the value of it. Let's run this. What do we get? We get 65. Okay, because 65 is the ASCII value of A. If you want to check what is the ASCII value and if you want to learn more about what ASCII is, I suggest you go through this wiki page. It has all of the details and history about why ASCII was built and how it is being taken care. Okay. So if you see here, the 65 is the hexadecimal code for A. Similarly, small a, right, is 97. So let's check that. So we know a is 65. Let's say small a. What's the value of this? We get 97. And what was it on wiki? It was 97. Clear? Similarly, if you have a ASCII value and you want to check what is the character or what is the corresponding character for that ASCII or Unicode value, then there is another function called chr. Okay. We'll again take same value is equals to chr of what value? We know 97 is small a. Let's give 97 and we'll print the value now. Let's see what do we get. So from the first one, we are getting 97, which is the ASCII value, and the second one, A, we are getting the string value of a particular ASCII value, right? Moving on, let's comment all of these. Moving on, we have another example for upper. Okay, so let's take a string str1 is equals to str1 is equals to hello world. Okay, now what do I want to do? I want to convert this to uppercase, right? Let's take both the examples, upper and lower, right? So what I want to write, I'll say print. I'm just printing it. I'm not trying to store it in a variable again, right? So we only thing we want to do is str1 dot upper. So this will convert it to uppercase and corresponding dot lower will convert it to lowercase. Let's run this. So the first one printed hello world all in caps. The second one printed all in small, right? So this was one. Now the next one that we will see is a function called split. Okay, split. Again, we'll take str1 is equals to Python is amazing. Okay. Okay. So what we want to do is we'll take a variable. We'll say var1 equals to var1 is equals to str1 dot str1 dot split, right? Oh, sorry. I'll say strip. I wrote it as strip, instead it should be split. So var1 dot split and print var1. Let's run this. So it is splitting my entire sentences into single words, right? So it's using space as the delimiter and it's splitting the string. All right. Now, if you want to do this in a different way, say you have a CSV and you want to split that into different words, or say you want to have them in different variables. So, another thing, I also want to check what is the type of var1, right? Because I am passing a string, what am I expecting here? So if you see, it returns a list object, right? It returns a list with string objects inside it. Okay. So this is a list with 3 different words. Okay. Similarly, if you have a CSV, say you have another string, str2 is equals to, let's take the headers, say ID, comma, name, comma, address, comma, phone number. Okay. So you have these values and now you want to split it into different columns. You want to make columns with these names. So you want these values to be present in different variables. So how do you do it? So again, we'll say var2 is equals to str2 dot split with a delimiter of comma, right? And what you are going to do, you are going to print var2. What it will do, it will again split the string into a list object and it will store it as different. Now you can a different list. Now you can iterate on this list and access each of these values, right? Okay. Moving on, we also have join. Say you have this particular list. What are these lists? This is a list of word. So let's say go to the front. We'll name this as list of words is equals to this. Let's comment the previous one. Join. So here's a list of this. And what I want to do, I want to join this into a meaningful sentence. All right. So what I'll do, I'll say sentence is equals to dot join list of words. Okay. So I'm trying to convert it to a string again using join keyword. Join the list of words. What do I get? And I'll print this. Print sentence. So let's run this. So it's giving me ID, name, address, phone number, all in just one sentence, right? And other way, like if you wanted to have space in between, or if you want to have some other characters, you can just introduce it here. I'll give a space here and I run this. So it gives me space here. Now, if you wanted it to be a CSV back again, you will just give a comma and you'll join it. So it will give you a CSV again. All right. Moving on from join, we have another one called strip. What is strip? Strip will remove the leading and trailing white spaces or any specific character that you specify there, right? So let's take an example on strip as well. Let's have a string str is equals to, I'll give spaces here. I'll say hello. I'll give space again, multiple space. Then I'll say world. I'll give space again. Okay. Now I'll say print str. Also say print str dot strip. All right. Let's run this. What do we get? So the first one gave me as it is, whatever is the string I input, my input string was. Okay, whatever was my input string, I got the same thing in return. The second one removed the leading and trailing spaces. Okay, now let's take another example on this. Let's say we have URL is equals to, I'll say www.google.com. Okay, now what do I want to do here is I want to remove the www dot. I just want google.com from here. How do I achieve this using strip? So we'll say URL2 or URL1 is equals to, we'll say URL1 URL dot strip using a delimiter. What do I want to remove? I want to remove W's and dot. Okay, any leading or trailing. All right. Okay. Now, how does this work? So, I want to strip all W's and dot, which is a subset. All right. It should be from the starting or it should be from the ending. Okay. And each character here, each alphabet should be a subset of this. It should be either W or a dot. Okay. Now, once they start working, how does it work? It will first check the first alphabet, whether it is W or dot. It is W, it will remove. Second again is a W, it will again remove. Third again is a W, it will again remove. Again, the fourth one is a dot. So what it comes here, it will check whether it is W or a dot. It is a dot, so it will remove here. Again, it will go to G and it will check again whether it is able to remove G or not from this, but it is not a subset. Like G is not present in my delimiter here. Okay. So it will stop there itself and it will start printing these. Again, towards the end, it will again check whether the last alphabet here is a subset of W or dot or not. If it is, it will remove it. If not, then it will print it like it is. So let's run this and we'll print URL1. Let's run what happens here. So it just gives me google.com, right? Now in this or in this again, in this again, if we want to try a variation just to see, so I'll again give .com and I'll again give www dot something like this, okay? Because I want to remove the leading and trailing both, right? And be mindful, all of these string functions work on a case sensitive manner. So if you are giving a small w here, it will remove the small w, not the capital W. All right. So be mindful when you are dealing this within the string scope. What does it return? It is returning me google.com again because I am removing this. Now, if you want to see another example, let's say I give dot small w, or let's do it this way. We'll give capital W here and then I'll again give small w's. Now, if you see here, the first one, it removed all the W's and dots. Second one also, it removed everything. Now the third one, it removed the leading W's and dot. When it came to the last, the trailing part, it encountered WW, which was small and same. It removed. Now comes a capital W here, which is not in my scope. So it stopped there itself and printed everything. So it's not going to check within your string. As soon as it encounters a mismatch in the string or mismatch in whatever is passed to it, it would stop there itself and it will print the rest of it. All right. So this is strip, right? Let's move on to the next one. We have replace function. All right. We have replace. So let's take another string. String is equals to John. John is a good boy. Now here, if you want to replace John with some other name, okay, how do you achieve that? So we have a keyword called replace, right? So we'll say new str is equals to str dot replace. You want to replace John with, I'll say Smith, and I'll say print. All right. Let's see what it prints. So it's printing Smith is a good boy because I replaced John here, right? So replace is another keyword. Let's say if I give this as all caps, will it replace or not? You see? So all of these string functions are case sensitive. They work in a case sensitive manner. Be careful when you are dealing with it. Either you convert it to all upper, all lower, or when you are or if you are dealing with the raw string here, be careful with whatever input output you are providing. Whatever input you are providing and whatever output you are expecting. Okay? And whenever you are implementing any of these string manipulation in your code, make sure that you run it in a small chunk, right? First check your code whether it is running properly or not, then only implement it in your actual code, right? Okay, moving on. We have find and we have index, right? Let's comment this. We have find and index. Okay, let's take a string. String 1 is equals to hello, I am at the code level indexing. Okay, now what I want, I'll say print string 1 dot find what one sec. Let's say I'm trying to search I. Okay, and the second example I am going to use is print string 1 dot index. Let's run this. So what I'm expecting, so both of these are same. There's no difference. There is a difference. I'll show you in the next example. Both of this is expecting to return the first subset or the first position where it is finding an I, right? So if I run this, I'm getting 7 because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, right? So this is my 7th place. So it's returning the index of 7. But let's say I am again in the same string. I'm just copying this and I'm just replacing it with some string or that is not present in my actual string where I'm searching. So say z is not present anywhere here, right? So what happens now? So the index function is returning me a error saying the substring is not found, right? Whereas the find function will return me -1. Okay, I'll write it here. It will return -1 when the string is not found. Okay, whereas this one is going to throw me and throw me error saying sub substring not found. Okay, all right. Now the next one that we are going to look at is starts with and ends with. Starts with and ends with. Now let's see. Now we'll again take an example. Str1 is equals to hello world. Okay, let's comment the previous ones. Now starts with and ends with is used where you want to check whether a particular string is starting with a certain character or certain alphabet, or the second one, the ends with, is used where we want to check the ending of the string. So right now let's say I'll just print, right? So if it is found, it will say return true or else it will return false. So I'll say str1 dot starts with, I'll say hello. This is returning true, right? Now I'll say str1 dot ends with world. Let's run this. So both of this should return me true. Correct? Now again, using the same one, I'm trying to print a false value also. So let's say I go here and I'll say starts with, I'll say hello with an exclamation mark and world with a full stop, which is not the case, right? So it will return me false. Similarly, if I pass on capital as well, it will return me false because it works on a case sensitive manner, right? So this one will return true and these two will return false. Clear? Alright, so the next concept that we are going to talk about is slicing. Okay, so slicing is very much useful when you are dealing with strings. So the usual format of slicing is you have a string here, string, and you go with a starting index, you go with an ending index. Ideally, it is ending plus one index, and the step. Step is an optional parameter, so you don't need to have that always. But once you are trying to skip some characters in between, like you want all the alternate characters to be printed, so you can use a step of 2. So let's see an example here. Let's have a string here, str. Str is equals to, let's say, Python is fun, right? So, the first slicing we'll see with a starting and ending index. So we'll say print, we'll say str. So we'll give open and closing brackets here. We'll specify the starting index as 0 and how many I want, how many indexes I want to print. So my p is my 0th, y 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the index until where I want, but I will give my ending index as go until 6th, right? So I'll give here 6. So Python goes until 6, but it prints only until 5. All right. So ending index, remember, is always plus 1 until where you want to print. As simple as that. Okay, let's run this. So it printed Python. All right. It has just Python in it. Now the next one that we are going to look at is slicing from starting and end. Okay, let's say we want to see it from start. So what do I'll use the same string. I'll just change the print statement. Print str. Print str. I'll give a square bracket and I'll say just start with 0. I don't want to specify my starting index. I gave you an index. You start with 0. Go until 6. All right, and print everything. So ideally, for this one and this one is the same. The output would be the same. Let's see. So both of this prints Python to me. Okay. Now let's see if you want to go from the end. If I want to specify an ending index, right? Or in simple, I don't have any ending index. I say my ending is open. Whatever is the last, you take that last, but you start from a certain index, right? So we'll say print. I'll say print str, and I'll open a square bracket. I'll say you start with the 7th index and you go until whatever is the last, right? So what is my 7th index? If I see the indexing, this one is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7th is I. So start with I and go until the end. So it should print me is fun. All right, let's see. Simple. So it printed is fun here, right? Now you also have a thing called negative indexing. Okay, you have negative indexing. What it does? So if you take this particular example, if you want to if you want to look it as from a negative indexing perspective, right? So you will say that this is my starting point and how many characters I want from here, right? So say this is my starting point for a negative indexing. This is my starting point. This is my 0th position, and from here I'll go -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6 like that. There is no zeroth index in negative indexing. So if you give -1, it will extract just one character. 2 means 2 characters. So let's take an example. I'll say print str of, I'll say just print me 3 characters. I don't want more. So just print me -3, -3. So start with -3 and go until the end. Let's see. So it just printed me 3 characters. Why? Because I asked him to start at -3. So -3 until 0 it printed. Okay. So this is how negative indexing works. Now the last thing here. We saw starting and endings. Now we'll talk about the step. So for this, let's take another example. Let's take an example of step. Okay. Now I'll have a string. I'll comment all of these. Okay, I have a string str1 is equals to, I'll give a1, b2, c3, d4, e5. All right. Now what I want to do here is I am going to put in a step of 2. All right. So let's say I'll say print. I want everything. So I'll say str1. Since I want everything, I'm just going to give a colon. So my starting and index is the same. Like whatever is the string length, it acts accordingly. So starting will be my 0th, ending will be the length of my string. So if you leave it blank, it means that it's going to take the actual string length, right? And in the step, I'm going to say, just give me the alternate ones. So I'll say, just give me, no, sorry, not -2. I'll just say, just give me the alternate ones. Okay. Now, if I run this, what will it print? It will print me all the numbers here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what it gives me. Oh, sorry. So, yeah. So, I gave a step of 2, right? So, since it started with A, so it will print me A, B, C, D, E, right? So, if I given my starting index as 1, then it would have printed me all the numbers. Okay. So, it printed me all the numbers here, right? So let's keep both of these. So this is one way and this is another way, right? So this gives me all alphabets, and this one gives me all numbers. All right. Now another variation here is using the step. What we can do is we can reverse a particular string. So let's say if string was echo. Okay. Now I'll print string, again the square brackets. I'll give starting index as same, ending index same. I'll just give -1. So my step will be -1. So it will start printing from here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. Okay. Now if I print this, what will I get? Let's comment this one. Let's run this. OHCE. Correct? OHCE. That's because I'm just reversing this using my slicing concepts. All right. So now we are going to see some variations how you can check for a substring, because in the practical work you will also encounter a lot of places where you will have to check a particular string is present in a particular text is present in a string or not. Okay. So and to check that, we have multiple ways how we can deal with it. So checking for substring. Okay. How do we do it? The first one is using in operator. Now let's take a string, let's take a text. Text is, This is the original text, what you want, what you have. So let's say the world is a beautiful place. Oh, beautiful place. Now, I want to check if world is present in this particular text or not. So using the in operator, how will we achieve it? So it's simple. I'll just print, and I'll write what is the word that I want to check? World, and space in. I'll give the text. If it is present, it will return a true. If not, false. So it's returning me true. That means world is present in the string. Correct? Now the second one is using the find. We had already seen this, right? Location or the index. Index is equals to text.find, and we'll say what we want to find, world, right? So if we know index, if it is -1, so find will return you -1 if it is not found, right? If it is not -1, then I'll say print world is in index, let's say is in index this, right? Let's run this. So world is in index 4. So let's see 1, 2, 3 and 4. Correct? Alright. So this was using find. Let's keep a header find. Now the next one that we are going to see is using the count method. So this is also the same. Let's have the same text here. I'm going to comment or just let it be. Okay. Let it be. I'm going to use the same thing. I'll say print text dot count, and in this what count, world. All right, so let's run this. So it's returning 1. So anything that is above 1 means it has found an occurrence. So the number of time it found the occurrence, it would return the same thing here. Now the last one is using regular expression. We have a different session on regular expression. Okay, so this is so there is a way how we can achieve this, but I'll pass it on. I'll keep this regular expression a separate video on it, and we'll discuss it there. Okay, for now we'll skip this. Now the next one that we want to see is a few integer functions. Okay, if we have already in my previous lectures or in the upcoming lectures, I'm going to use more of it. So we had seen int, right? It converts. What does it do? It converts float to int, right? Then we had seen, or we haven't seen absolute. Let's take an example. So absolute is simple. We have a is equals to 10, b is equals to -10, and we'll say print absolute value of a comma absolute value of b. What it will print? It will just print the numbers. Let's comment the previous ones. So it's just going to print the numbers. It's not going to print whether it is positive or negative. It just takes the absolute value of it. Okay. Now the next one that we are going to see is power. So what it does, it says print power 2 to the power 3. So what it will print? It will print 2 to the power of 3. That is 8, right? 2 to the power 3 is 8. Let's see. So it prints 8. All right. So these are some handy functions which might be useful once you are scripting. All right. And what is the next one? So we also have taken, like, there are other things, but it goes by the name minimum. So let's say minimum. All right. We have maximum. We have count. Sorry, sum. We have round. Okay, what else we have? These are something which are very common. It goes by their name, but I want to talk about the last function here. It's called divmod. It's called divmod. Okay, what it does, so it returns the quotient and the remainder when dividing two integers. All right, let's see how it works. So I need two variables. So one will be the quotient, and this one will be the quotient, and the second one will be remainder. And I'll say div mod and say 10 divided by 10 divided by 3. And I'll print my quotient and remainder. Let's run this. So the quotient is 3 and the remainder is 1, right? So this is another function that we may use while we are more like when we are calculating something in our scripts, right? All right. So I think that concludes our string manipulation in Python, and we have almost covered all the essential string methods that we will be using. And we also saw different techniques how to check for a substring. So I'll conclude it here, and then in the next one we'll see how to handle files in Python. So I'll see you in the next one.